Ms. Martindale,
Yes.
Ms. Liskini,
Yes.
Mrs. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Bosso.
Yes. To start out the board meeting tonight, we'll have two presentations. The first will be by the Transportation Update with Mr. Tim Cox, Supervisor of Transportation. Tim?
Good evening, President Bosso, Vice President Martindale, members of the board, Dr. Wise, and Hugh Garside. I'm happy to be here. I started in the district about 2007, and this is 16 years, and I think we've come a long way in transportation. I read the other day in Grove City Connect that we don't close school, but we did for obvious reasons. So I think the kids were a little thrilled that they got a snow day. We're not sure about tomorrow morning yet, but we're going to watch it. I'm just going to kind of give you some statistics on transportation, an overview of what it's like over there, and maybe get you guys to understand our department a little bit. And if you ever want to come over and ride a bus, just let me know and I'll put you on a route. And I promise it'll be a good route. So first we have staffing. This is statistics. Just a little FYI, we went close to 2,900,000 miles in the year 22-23. We have 119 square miles, 182 buses. We go close to West Jeff, close to Orient, and up to Hague. So our district is very huge, and we put a lot of miles on our district. We have 179 drivers. All are fantastic, do a great job for us. And then aides, we have about 43, I think that says, and we're looking for more. So if anybody knows anybody looking to be an aide or driver, let me know. We have 8 mechanics, 4 office clerks, 4 routing supervisors, 4 clerks, sub aides, we have about 18, and sub mechanics, we have 2, and sub drivers. That's a little skewed because we have some that just do field trips that regular drivers can't do. That's all they do. So we have a total of 18, but we need more. We average about 20 drivers off a day. The next slide is fleet statistics. Basically, if you look at those big buses that does not have a hood, that is called a transit bus. So we have close to 66 transit. Then if you look at the conventional buses that have the hood, that's what everybody's kind of a traditional bus. We have close to 2678 passengers and 6677 passengers. The difference between 78 and 77, we bought international buses that have 77 with a half seat in the back, and then the Bluebirds that we just purchased have a full seat in the back that gives you the extra number. And then we have 65 passenger 3 buses. And then the micro buses we use for preschool. Those are the tiny buses. We have 8 of them. And the handicap buses with wheelchair lifts, about 47. And then we have 4 vans that we start using for special ed, field trips every now and then, and any popcorn routing we have to do. Ohio State Highway Patrol works really closely with us. They bring out their MVIs to do training at our department twice a year. They're coming out in February. But by law, every school bus has to have 2 inspections. One is called a spot inspection. We don't know when the patrol's coming. Patrol can show up any morning. They watch the drivers do pre-trip. Then they go out and they look at the buses. And if the buses have anything unsecure, they have any dirt on the floor, they have any seats that are not 3-inch foams that have collapsed. If there's anything wrong with those buses, they will ground those buses until we fix them. And so we pride ourselves on passing all the spot inspections. Then the annual inspections, which just started in January, they bring the buses into the garage and check about 96 different things on those buses. They're underneath them, they're on top of them, they're looking at everything we have from fuses, wipers, to tires, to exhaust, to anything you name on that bus. That's what they're looking at. And so far we have about 20 buses that passed, and our inspector will be out on Wednesday to do another 10 to 15 buses. So I'm really proud of our mechanics, proud of our drivers for keeping the buses in great shape and safe for the children. The next slide is our routing information. So basically, our route for a driver would be 3 runs in the morning and 3 runs in the afternoon. For example, I would have a high school, elementary, and a middle school. That would be the 3 runs in the morning. I go home, come back, then I have an elementary, high school, middle school. That's the majority of the routes. We do have some charter schools that make it a little bit more difficult because we're going all over the district to pick up children to take them to charter, or to pick up children and take them to non-public or parochial schools. And we also have some special ed that's going out of Columbus. So they're not all 6 runs, but the majority are. So the routes, we have 179, and then you can see the total number of runs we have. Public, 608, special ed, 238, preschool, 56, non-public, which would be charter and parochial, 88 runs, and then our middays, we're doing about 176 between 9 o'clock and 2 o'clock. So that would be overflows from one school to another. That would be a PALS program, which is an alternative school from them to the school. It would be jobs, coaching, going out. It'd be advanced learning that we transport from the 3 high schools to Central Crossing. So there's a lot of things that we're doing in the middle of the day to get kids so that they can graduate and have some success. The next one is, how do you become a bus driver? Well, anybody that wants to apply today, I'll be glad to talk to you. We start with an interview. We go through a background check, and then there's an 8 certificate now because we have drivers that are in training ride buses. So they get the idea of what it's like. They can help the drivers with students. They can learn the tablets that we have on the bus. So there's a lot of pros to having them start as an aide and then transition into a school bus driver. We get a physical and a pre-employment drug test. We check their driver's record. Then they have to take 4 written tests to get their temp license. Now, CDL is a federal program. It's about truckers, but school buses fall under the CDL loop in America. So they have to take these 4 written tests, which is general knowledge, and that test is basically a truck driving test. And then you take school bus passenger, which is like a CODA bus type test, and then air brakes. Just so you know, on our buses, we have 2 brakes. We have anti-lock brakes and air brakes. So every time you hear the bus go, psh, that's the air brake, and it sets that bus with the 2 braking systems so it won't move as kids are loading or unloading the school bus. And next slide. Once they pass, then they go to an onboard instructor, which is a school bus driver peer who trains them to become a school bus driver. We have 4. And they do a really good job. They have to teach them how to back that bus up, how to do an alley dock, how to do a parallel parking, how to drive the bus, and then again, how to pre-trip that bus. So they're actually opening the hood, looking for the water filters, looking for the fuel filters, looking for any cracks, anything from wiring that would be messed up on that bus before they ever take the bus out. And when they take their CDL test, they have to announce what each part is to pass their test. And then they learn to drive a conventional, learn to drive a transit, learn to drive a handicap. We put them in freeway driving, we do maneuvering. There's a pre-service class that every single bus driver in the state of Ohio must attend. And that class now is a requisite to get your CDL test. So they have to go through the 5 classes and then get on a computer database so that we can put them into a CDL test. Once they pass the CDL test, they become a driver, usually a sub. Sub goes into full-time, and then the pre-service certificate with the state is good for 6 years. And then after 6 years, they have to go back through the pre-service class. We are looking for drivers. It has been extremely hard to find some. It's not an easy job, but it's a rewarding job. We have billboards out there, we have Indeed, we have a lot of different ways that we're trying to recruit drivers into our district. Word of mouth is always good, and we also have job fairs. So we are working on trying to bring some drivers in and let them work for the best district in the state. Safe routes, this is about walking boundaries. So stops and regulations, we continue to look at our transportation needs and driver shortages. We're always looking at the service that we provide with changes that we need to better serve our communities. We do a lot of double tripping, not a lot, but when we have not enough drivers, we have to double trip. Our term in the industry is called crossover, but it really is a double trip. And we're okay high school wise, we're okay elementary, but when we get to the middle intermediate, it becomes a problem because of time. So if you think about dropping off at 9, there's nothing left after 9 o'clock, but you still have to go back out and pick up those kids. So then they're losing academics, they're losing a lot of valuable time. So we're trying to find a way to consolidate and to make the routes a little bit shorter and so that we can handle it. So what you're looking at is a walk zone and the state minimums versus what we do. So the state minimums basically say K through 8 routing is all you have to do and 2-mile walking for everyone. What we do in Southwestern is we transport K through 12, and then 9 through 12 we're obviously busing, and then our walk boundaries are a mile and a half, and 2 miles depending on grades. So what you're looking at is Finland Middle School, or Franklin Woods Middle School. That big boundary outside would be Columbus, would be the state minimum. That would be the 2-mile walking. What you see in this small circle is what we're actually doing. So we're under state minimums, but we're continuing looking at the walking zone. We look, for example, at Bolton Beulah Park. Demorest Road was built, or they built right on top of Demorest Road. And if you remember, there was no sidewalks or traffic lights to cross them, so we bused them. Well, now there is sidewalks and there is traffic lights. So we'll probably take that bus away, they'll become a walker, and that will save a bus, and then we'll put the bus someplace else. Kind of what I'm talking about. Stop Finder is an app on iPhone and Android. Basically, it's for parents or guardians that want to know where their bus is. They can set it up to find out when the bus is hitting their geo zone, so they know when the bus is going to arrive. And people are using this app very well, and they can actually send us an announcement and tell us the child's not riding, want to know where their bus is, approximate time of pickup. So the app is becoming very popular. They can actually see a bus. You can put your address in there, and then, like I said, once it hits your geo-fencing, you can see that it's arriving to your house. So it has become, this is our second year using it, and they've added new items to the app. So I expect TransFinder to continue adding and helping us with technology with the parents. And then in closing, our drivers for 41 years have raised money for families in need at Children Time. And they do this. We have a big raffle. We have, that group right there took about 39 families, or 39 kids, and took Christmas presents to their houses. The team works tirelessly. We raised close to $9,000, benefiting 18 families, and they are just giving people. We had a student that passed away, and they donated $300 to that student. So they are very giving people, very kind people, people that I would want in the trenches with me if something was going bad. So with that, thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Tim, thank you so much. It's always good to hear from you.
Thank you, sir.
I do have a question, Tim.
Yeah.
What is the time frame? Did you say from interview to getting your CDL? What is the time frame?
I should have said that. So generally, It depends on the certain person, but I would say 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. And that's somebody that does not have a CDL, somebody coming in that needs to get their temps, starts riding a bus, takes their temps. And the temps kind of slows them down a little bit because it's a test that they take, kind of like you're back at 16 years old, taking your test again. This is online, it's unlimited. They don't pay for the temps until they pass the 4 test, but it is hard because they're talking about like runaway ramps that we don't have in Ohio, but they have in the West Coast. So there's just a lot of things too. They talk about chains. We don't use chains in Ohio, but they use chains out west. So there's a lot of things that they ask that doesn't pertain to us that you still need to know taking that test. There is I tell the interviewees and people in training, there's an app on the phones called Ohio CDL Practice Test. It's free, and it just kind of gives you back and forth answers, correct or not correct. So that helps a lot. But some people go quickly and get it 3 weeks. Some people it takes 5 weeks. The trainers are pretty good about knowing how to teach to that person because they all learn differently, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Thank you all.
Our next presentation will be from Food Service Updates with Miss Lisa Hamrick, Supervisor of Food Services.
Good evening. President Boso, Vice President Martindale, members of the board, Dr. Wise, and Mr. Garside. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. I always say that this is the time that I get to gloat about the great things that we do in food service, so I'm very happy to be here tonight. I always like to start off with some statistics. So on an average right now, we're serving 7,300 breakfasts a day and 13,500 lunches a day. We typically use October, just so you know, as our benchmark. Our federal program plus other federal programs in the district use the same. So food service does the same as well. Our student participation right now for breakfast is about 35%, where last year we were at 31%, so we are increasing. And then 2 years ago, when all meals were free, we were at 33%, so I'm pretty proud that we're still continuing to increase. Our lunch participation is showing at 64%. Last year we were at 61%, and when the meals were all free, we were at 65%, so we're still holding pretty consistent with that as well. I am happy with the increase. I think that just shows that we're meeting more students, and that always makes me happy. As far as our district, there you go. Okay. As far as our district free and reduced percentage, we're sitting at about 65% right now. Last year we were at 56, so we've increased 9%. And I think the increase is because of the Medicaid pilot that did come out this year, which I'll discuss in my next slide. Okay, free and reduced lunch applications. So every year, we are governed by the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA. So every year, every July 1st, they come out with new income guidelines. So that is not something that we set as a department, that is nationwide, that is what is released. So applications are good for the current year plus 30 days into the next school year. So if they don't turn in an application, then it will go back, everybody will go back to full pay until we receive a new application. So we always say it's 30 days, operating days from when we start back in. Applications, so we will always have paper applications. That's required of the program. So we have paper applications in the buildings, we have paper applications in the food service department. It's very easy for a family to get a paper application. When we switched to Infinite Campus a few years ago, we switched to an online application, which is actually pretty fantastic because it just pulls the whole family in together, and it's easier for us to go through those applications. But the parents have to be set up in a parent portal in order to do that. So that is an option as well. Direct certifications. So direct certification is another way that we pull students that is directly certified through the state. So we are required to do it 3 times a year. However, we do it more than 3 times a year so we can try to connect more families together. Direct certification in the past used to be we would pull numbers, and anybody that qualified under SNAP which would be like food stamps, they would automatically qualify as free. They still do, but the piece that changed this year is Ohio got into a pilot, a Medicaid pilot. So anybody that receives Medicaid pulls now on direct certification, plus we pull homeless, plus we pull anybody that's a foster child also comes on that. And so what's different with the Medicaid pilot is, and this is why I think our numbers have increased so much, which has been fantastic because we've had a lot more families qualify, is that they qualify for free or reduced. So in the past, it was just free. We ran direct certification, everybody was free. Well, now with the Medicaid piece, you can do free or reduced. However, you still have to meet the poverty guidelines. So they might be getting Medicaid, but for some reason, they don't hit that poverty line. They won't qualify and come through for us to be able to give them free or reduced meals. Okay, so like I said, we're governed by the USDA and also within partnership of the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce. We are 100% fully funded, which means that we do not rely on the general fund. Our account is completely separate. So saying that we're self-sustained, we pay for all of our salaries, we pay for all of our retirements, we pay for all of our benefits. Everything comes out of the 006 account. We don't rely on the 001 account for general funds. And I am actually blessed that we are in a positive state and we are running in the black, which has been fantastic. I think just with COVID and everything else, the government tried to give us some extra money and that's helped us. But to be able to continue to do the great things that we do, it's nice to be able to have, obviously, the funds to do that. So we are required to carry 3 months operating expense in our account. So that is the goal, to maintain that. We're supposed to be nonprofit, so it's never to try and make a profit per se. But in the case that we would, then we have to invest back in our program, and that's just what we do. We look for different things to do. We update our equipment. We look for better options for some of the meals. So and things that the cooks in the kitchens need to be able to serve our students, we don't hesitate to purchase for them because we're able to do that. So that's kind of part of like a spend down plan a little bit. And I will say we have not had to raise our breakfast or our lunch prices since 2017-18 school year, which was before I started because I've been here 6 years. So that's actually been kind of nice for our families too. So pretty happy about that. We are part of Meta Purchasing Co-op, so all of our products are bid through the co-op. We get the majority of our food products through Gordon Food Service. They are our prime vendor, which means that we purchase 90% of our products through them. We've had a great relationship with them for a long time and hope to continue that relationship with them. One thing we did do different this year is that we switched produce companies. So now we're with Hackett Produce. They're based out of Springfield. They've been fantastic. It's been a seamless switch to a different vendor. They have brought different types of fruits and vegetables to our students, which is great. We had plums this year. I mean, we just had some really great stuff. There was 5 different kinds of Ohio apples. I didn't know that we had that many, but there are. So as far as pulling in local, which is fantastic too. So it's been really nice to have them pulled in. And then our dairy is through United Dairy. We are also part of SWEPSI, which is the co-op for our commodity products. So that's the co-op that we are with them. So meal pattern requirements. So I will say we are held to daily serving size requirements that we have to meet for breakfast and lunch. Obviously, there's different serving sizes compared to high school students and there is compared to an elementary student. But we also have to meet weekly requirements. So we have to serve so many of vegetable subgroups to hit those categories and our grains as well. We do offer versus serve where the students can deny certain components. And that's to help reduce waste. Nobody wants to see kids throw food away. I mean, we don't want to see it away. It happens. It happens because maybe schedules aren't long enough for them to eat, or they're talking with their friends, or maybe they don't like something. But I will say when we do create our menus, we always have meetings with our head cooks and we get their feedback. And sometimes we get feedback from the buildings. There are some head cooks that put surveys out to the kids, and the elementary kids are always very interesting to see what they have to say to let us know what they want. But so we always try to take that into account. When they come through the line and we do offer versus serve, we always offer a full cup of fruit or vegetable, but they do have to take a half cup. So you will see the cashiers tell them that they need to grab a half cup of a vegetable or fruit in order to meet reimbursable meals for that. We also have to maintain child nutrition labels. So if there are certain products that we have to prove to the state that meet certain requirements, we have to have that as well. But I will say, we also have NutriSlice, which I don't know if a lot of people know about, but that is online, and that has all of our nutritionals. So our nurses that have to get carbs counts for kids that are diabetic are able to pull that off of there. And we are inspected as well. The health department pops in 2 times a year in all of our kitchens, so we have to maintain this, and we do have to post our most recent health inspection, which is required by us. So that is something as well. Staffing. Staffing, we're kind of sitting where we were last year. We are about 6% short in our staffing, which leaves us with 12 open positions. I think our challenge is just to find subs. I think subs is the big piece. We'd be happy to take anybody that wanted to come help in our kitchen. And actually, Jamie Lefsher was so sweet and kind to come into 2 of our kitchens and just get the feeling of what our kitchens are like. So I would say you are more than welcome to come and help us out at any point. And the last is our professional development. So our head cooks are required to be ServSafe certified. It's a level 2 certification. We also have person in charge, which is a level 1 certification. So anybody in our kitchens, if the head cook is not there, somebody in the health department stops in, we have to have a person in charge. So somebody else that is certified to answer questions. We are required to have ongoing professional development. Myself and Marissa, our assistant supervisor, have to maintain at least 12 hours a year. We by far exceed that with all the things that we get involved in. Our head cooks have to have 10 hours. Our 4-hour cooks need 6 hours, and our 3 to 3.5 hours cooks have to have 4. So we're always doing some kind of professional development to continue. But in closing, I will say that I am nothing without my team. And our cooks work really hard for our students. Our office staff works really hard for everything that they do. So, like I said, I'm nothing without them, and I'm always super proud of them. So, thank you.
Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next item for the board meeting is items for discussion. The item will be discussion of appointing legal counsel per policy 0174. The Board of Education would like to discuss the potential of entering into an agreement with Tarazi Law for legal services. I'll just go ahead and read policy 0174. Pretty short. The Southwestern City School Board of Education may employ legal counsel as necessary and pay for legal services from school funds. The counsel will advise the board and its officials on any legal matters relating to the school district. The board may adopt a resolution providing for the employment of legal counsel and setting compensation for the various kinds of legal services to be rendered. Engaging in legal counsel, the board may require a submission of a written proposal, which may be incorporated into a contract or purchase order. If it is satisfied the wishes of the board, proposals may detail specific objectives to be accomplished by the council, specific tasks to be performed, procedures to be used in carrying out the task, target dates of completion of the task, methods to be used to report results to the board in order to deliver any product or render any service to the board, and fees or rates of pay the board will be charged. The board establishes procedures necessary to effect an efficient working relationship between the council and the board and or staff. This is something that I think The item is not taken lightly. We wanted to discuss this openly between the board members so everybody could have a say on this item to give their input to it. So I open up the floor for discussion.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I disapprove of the selection of the law firm listed in consideration for appointment of legal counsel for the Board of Education members, as not all Board of Education members were a part of the selection process for said firm. Should all or majority of Board of Education members feel appointment of a law firm is appropriate for legal services outside of the district's choosing, all Board of Education members should be a part of the vetting process of said law firm being selected. Any Board of Education member not being a part of the selection leaves a member without a voice in the choice. All Board of Education members should be privileged to the discussions taking place with the law firm being considered.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. D'Angelo?
At this time, I would like to ask the Omar Tarazi, the law firm that we're considering, to come up and say a few words on his behalf and some reasons why he's being considered this evening, if he's willing to.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. President. I would like to clarify an issue, though. Currently, as I understand, there is a number of attorneys and law firms that are providing services to the school. However, only one is providing services per board vote. And there hasn't been any, all the rest of the services are not being done according to that board policy, that the board is the one that selects the law firm. So in terms of, I'm not suggesting that I'm coming in here to take over everything. I was approached as a result of specifically as a result of the last meeting, and concerns as it relates to how the board vote went, how it should be handled, etc. I personally have 15 years plus of litigation experience dealing with these kind of employment issues, advising school boards, advising schools, advising on every aspect of the issue. In other words, accusations relating to misconduct relating to children, defending parents from these kind of things, etc. And the board president approached me and said, hey, you don't have any connection with anything going on here, and we could just use another opinion. And I said, well, no problem. I'm happy to come and help to any degree that I can. I also was on Hilliard City Council. I was a president there, so I'm very familiar with the procedural things. There's a number of issues that I already have recommended to I had a couple of discussions with a couple of board members of things that could have been improved or could have been done differently. If the board wants to ask about that, I'm more than happy to share. But I think today's vote was basically to give authority per board policy so that I could be part of the executive session discussions and be able to provide an informed, another perspective on how things have happened and how things will happen moving forward. So if that helps alleviate your concerns at all, if the board wants to consider, like a law firm to represent all the other things that currently firms are doing without board approval or without a board vote, then that's a whole other thing. That's beyond the scope of what we're talking, or like at least what I'm proposing today. Today it's just simply to provide consultation services as it relates to this employment matter. And then we'll see where things go from there. So are there if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to take them.
Any questions? Thank you, Omar.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to make a motion to approve using Tarazi Law Firm for the services you just mentioned and the services that we have seen before. So I make a motion to move forward with Tarazi Law for legal counsel, especially for the task at hand.
Can I get a second on that?
I second.
I got a second. Can I get a roll call on that? Any additional, thank you, Bill. Additional discussion on that?
As I stated before, I feel that all Board of Education members should be a part of the discussion that is being had. Neil Peterson was not spoken to as a school board member.
And I'm very sorry about that. And there will be, I tried to make.
Excuse me, sorry. I think that's why we're bringing it up now, Camille, to get an open discussion on this. I truly do. With sunshine laws and things like that, it's hard to discuss anything outside the boardroom. So that's why it was brought up here. I would like just to make a motion to have Tarazi Law look into the employment issue we have at hand right now with what's going on with the termination, to get an outside look.
There's already a motion.
For that, okay. Any more discussion on that?
For me, can we clarify what the motion is for? I didn't know if it was for specifically what Mr. Bosso just mentioned, or if it's for what Mr. Bosso mentioned and all other services outlined in the proposal set. I don't know what, I just want to confirm what the motion and second is for.
Yes, for.
I thought the motion was for the entire.
Can you speak into the microphone? Can you speak in your microphone, please? Is my microphone on?
It's just really quiet.
Oh, it is.
Bring it to you.
Do you want to hear his question? Which part are you going to?
Anything he said.
I asked for clarification on the motion.
On the motion.
Whether it was specific to, whether the original motion was specific to the personnel matter at hand, or whether the motion was for the personnel matter and all other services as outlined in the proposal sent to Mr. Bosso. I'm not sure what the motion was for. I was looking for clarification, so we know whether the.
Yes, I
because
understand.
The next conversation is going to be, are we moving down an amendment? Because I thought that's where, let's make sure we know what we're doing.
The proposal, my motion was proposal to enter into an agreement with Tarazi Law for legal services.
On this personnel issue.
It was on legal services in general going forward.
In general.
Including this. And then, so one thing, so legal services as is, I'm not even sure the names of any legal services that the district employs. I believe there's like a badge or a medical leave, is the only one I know.
Let her speak.
Listen. So, there's a lot of things that need to get done, and we understand that. I'm not sure, there's no contracts, this district has no contracts with any legal services, okay? Except for one, and that's Rich and Gillis, okay? Now, I'm a policy follower. Per policy, we are allowed to enter into an agreement with an attorney, with any legal services that the board votes on. Now, I believe it requires a vote. There's lots of options we could have done. I don't agree with, I'm bringing it to a vote, this is an option. We can't legally talk about these things with the board because of sunshine law, right? This is our opportunity right now to make this discussion. If we were to have a discussion amongst everybody, one by one, that's against the law, right? So, per policy, per Ohio Revised Codes, this is how this process works. As a board, we are able to bring to the board these options, these ideas. And it's unfortunate that Ms. Peterson was not notified, and I was not notified of our current legal counsel. At the last meeting we had, I did not know that legal counsel going into that meeting, right? So anyway, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but the motion right now is to move forward. We can take a vote on whether or not we would like to go into an agreement to Tarazi Law for legal services going forward. And it doesn't mean everything? No, it does not. There is a pool of legal services that the district currently has. However, if we would like to see progress and things move forward,
Any more discussion on this? So the vote up for right now is to use, the motion to use Tarazi Law Firm for legal services.
correct.
That's not what she said.
The motion is to enter into an agreement with Tarazi Law for legal services.
For everything.
For whatever comes up You know, we have a contract with Rich and Gillis for the accounting services, correct? Do not have a contract with any, we just use people for whatever, right? When things come up, we use them.
Correct.
So going forward, again, this is policy, but who they have used in the past has not gone policy and brought it to the board for discussion. We're changing things now going forward. We brought this to the board using policy procedure. So I think it would be great to bring everybody else up. Let's, hopefully we can meet with the other ones that we use,
Yep.
and go through the process if we'd like to meet them. That'd be great. But for right now, the task at hand is a motion to approve, to enter into an agreement with Tarazi Law for legal services.
And we have a second on that.
Yes. Second.
We get a roll call?
Ms. D'Angelo Steele,
Yes.
Ms. Liskini,
Yes.
Ms. Martindale,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
No.
Mr. Bosso.
Yes.
May I ask a question? Is there a reason why one board member was left out? Was everyone else included and only one left out? I'm just curious.
We're going to move on. We're gonna
Isn't that what you guys do?
Transparent.
I don't know how to do this without having public
Voting into this role,
participation.
shouldn't we be able to understand this?
Excuse me, we're going to go on to the next item for action. It'll be by fiscal and operational management under Julie Liskini.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just have one item this evening, the appointment to the Ohio School Board Association Board of Trustees. It is recommended that the Board of Education appoint Denise D'Angelo Steele to the OSBA Board of Trustees for the 2024 calendar year.
Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Second. Mrs. Peterson? Can I get a roll call?
Ms. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Excuse me, Ms. Liskini, sorry.
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Ms. Martindale, Mr. Bosso.
Yes. Next, we'll have our personnel report with Mrs. Peterson.
On the agenda, there are 4 personnel items involving 39 persons. This includes 6 certificated resignations, 28 certificated employments, 1 classified resignation, and 4 classified employments. Having reviewed these, I move them for passage.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Mrs. Martindale? Get a roll call?
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Martindale.
Yes.
Ms. D'Angelo Steele.
Yes.
Ms. Liskini.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Bosso.
Yes. Jumping the gun. All right, next, it's recommended the Board of Education adjourn to executive session in accordance with policy 0166 to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, or demotion of an employee. Can I get a motion to go to executive session?
So moved, Martindale.
So moved, Mrs. Martindale. Can I get a second?
Second, Peterson.
Second, Mrs. Peterson. Thank you.